Patti Pao, CEO of Restorsea. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Jenny.
So we're here at the Forbes Women's Summit. We're talking about women's leadership. You have such a story to tell yourself and sort of your path to your current position as founder of a startup. Take us back a little bit and tell me a little bit about your story.
Sure.
Where you started and how you've gotten to this place now.
So I've actually been in the beauty business for 25 years. So we always like to say an overnight success that took 25 years. So I graduated from Harvard Business School. All I wanted to do was be in the fashion and beauty industry. My poor father was horrified. He was like, why can't you be an investment banker or consultant like everyone else? But this is what I wanted to do. I was fortunate after Harvard to take a job with Avon Products. And because I was a science major, I got into medical school and Harvard Business School. I was always tinkering around, good at the science. So Avon's R&D group actually adopted me. They opened up their portfolio of projects to me, and it was like opening up candy to a kid. And what that led me to indirectly, though, was finding glycolic acid. And what we did was we revolutionized the beauty industry. We created a brand called Avon Anew, which ended up being $1 billion franchise, of which 25 years later it is today. Since then, I went on to create and launch over 400 beauty products. But where we're sitting today is that I never thought I'd be sitting here talking to you as a beauty entrepreneur.
Well, let's talk about that, because how you got to where you are today as CEO of Restorsea. It was part all the work that you'd done up until this point, and it was part
luck and timing.
Exactly,
that's exactly
luck and timing.
So
tell us a little bit about that.
I had a consulting firm. I ended up having 4 clients in Oslo, Norway. From 2008 to 2010, I had been to Oslo 48 times, and I never saw anything outside of Oslo. One of my clients, who was a large pharmaceutical company, was horrified. And so they said, this is like horrible. We're going to take you on a hike of Western Norway. And I'm like, why? And they go, because it's the most beautiful part of Norway, Patti. Fjords, mountains, water. I'm like, okay. And I didn't have the heart to tell them, Jenny, that I'm Chinese. I'm genetically programmed to not like nature. I'm not athletic, and I'm not in very good shape. But I went, and after day 1, and Norwegians love the great outdoors, are super athletic, are the fittest, most good-looking people I've ever met. And after day 1 of going up 3,000 feet and down 3,000 feet for 13 and a half hours, because Norway is very mountainous, I didn't want to walk, let alone hike.
Right.
So on day 2...
But you made a discovery during all this, correct?
Because on day 2, I was desperately looking for a way to get out of hiking, and I convinced my client to take a tour of the local salmon hatchery.
Okay.
It ended up being the Chanel of salmon hatcheries, where everybody in the world gets their eggs and their salmon from. This hatchery was very progressive. It practiced synchronized hatching, of which all the baby salmon are born hundreds of thousands at a time. They're all born at the same time. And what that meant was that it was like popcorn, where hundreds of thousands of eggs are popping all at the same time. The workers' hands are constantly in the water, taking the eggshells out, throwing them away, and herding the baby salmon into the tanks where they could grow and thrive. Their hands were in this post-hatching fluid all day, every day. So I looked down. Their hands looked like they were 20. Their faces looked 20 years older than their chronological age. And I was like, why is that? And as it turns out, that unlike a chicken who can peck its way out of its eggshell, a baby salmon cannot. So Mother Nature created a way for the baby salmon to get out of its shell. When it's ready to be born, it releases an enzyme. The enzyme actually dissolves a piece of the eggshell. It turns itself off and allows the baby salmon to swim away unharmed. I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest ingredient I've ever seen in my career, and I've seen a lot of them.
Arguably, birth of the salmon, that was the birth of Restorsea.
It was the birth of Restorsea.
Yeah. So tell us now a little bit about, as CEO of this company that's been doing tremendously well, looking back on everything that got you to this place, what are some takeaways that you bring with you now when you talk to other women about leadership, about starting your own business, about having success?
Yeah, so as I always say, there are many challenges being a woman entrepreneur, but those challenges can be an advantage. Why is that? The first thing is women are great networkers. And so do not be afraid to ask your friends for help. My founding investors were my 3 best girlfriends from business school. They basically introduced me to all their friends. And actually, the bulk of my investors came from my classmates at Harvard Business School. But the other key takeaway is do not be afraid to take a chance. And I'll give you an example. So one of my founding investors introduced me to one of her section mates. I met him, we talked for 2 hours. At the end of 2 hours, he asked me to fly with him to Chicago to meet his wife and his 5 daughters. I said yes. But we had a little detour along the way because I had a doctor's appointment. So this man drove me to my doctor's appointment, waited for me, and we flew to Chicago. So we're driving to like the airport. We end up on the tarmac with his 22-seater jet. We fly to Chicago. I meet him. I meet his wife. We have dinner with the chef, you know, giving the menu. And when I went to go get my product, which at that time were these ugly lab samples that I carried around in a Ziploc bag, I come back and he and his wife said, "We just want to let you know we're going to invest." And I go, "Thank you." And I'm congratulating and high-fiving myself going, "This is great, 8 hours, $100,000. And he's like, "Don't you want to know how much we're going to invest?" I go, "Yeah, how much you can invest?" He goes, "The whole thing."
Wow. So I guess the lesson is be prepared because you never know when that day may come.
That's exactly it. And when someone gives you your shot, run as hard and as fast as you can.
That's great. What is it about this conference in particular that appeals to you?
I think what appeals to me, as we talked about earlier, this is my favorite conference so far. I've been to a lot of them. This is my favorite conference, and what appeals to me about this conference is that people here are very energetic, they're very entrepreneurial, and they're women who actually want to help other women. I give a lot of credit to the Forbes organization for the quality of its attendees, but also just the friendliness. I mean, I think you guys screen for friendliness.
We try. And what do you hope to accomplish? What do you hope to get out of this yourself?
I hope to get actually 350 loyal Restorsea customers,
there you
actually.
go. Excellent. Patti, thank you so much.
Thank you.